Welcome to the first episode of the Forgotten Gold podcast, where I interview people I've met just by saying hi, whether that's on a walk or in a car park, to prove that the most interesting people, well, they're all around us, and all you have to do is say hi. In the first episode, I interview a guy by the name of Daniel James. We met in Bustleton. I saw him setting up his camera with his beautiful dog, and I thought I must go talk to this guy. So come on, join me as we get to know Daniel together on episode 1 of the Forgotten Gold podcast. So hey Daniel, how are you?
Hey mate.
And hello Lucy, how are you as well?
Thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure to have you on.
Awesome.
Suppose, we met in this exact same spot yesterday.
You did, mate, yeah.
And I saw you with your camera and I thought I'm going to go for a walk and say hi.
Yeah, mate. No,
and I was shocked.
Interesting, and then you're a van lifer like me, and here we are. You're down here for music, I'm over here for work and travel. And
yeah, can we take a step into your life and what brings you to WA? What do you do for work, and how are you able to live this free lifestyle on the road?
Mate, good question. WA has always been on the list, eh? I think the whole van lifestyle and the travelling and exploring the country, WA has always been, in my mind, like the Holy Trinity, the Mecca. And I'm a carpenter, so I do a lot of, I work a lot of formwork structure, concrete structure work, and I guess that's been able to fund the travels, fund the hobby, being my camera and my drone, and if I work say 9 months a year, I can explore the other 3. I could bring that down to 6 and 6, 6 months work, 6 months holiday, but half the year is written off because of the heat. Lucy can't handle it, so I might as well stay in the cities and work.
Has this always been, like when you became a carpenter, was this always your goal, or is
Not
this
at
something
all.
you've discovered recently?
It's never a goal, it was just something that evolved, man. The goal was the white picket fence, quarter acre, and I've had that. And now I've kind of evolved into, started off with weekend camping, getting away when I was based in Melbourne, and I'd love to get out and explore, and then I ended up moving to Queensland, which is where I discovered Lucy. I actually met her father at a fruit market, and the owners said they had a puppy available, so I said I'll take her.
Wow.
It was a lot of it's not planned, it's just evolved, and like life on the road compared to city life, it's just, I'm in a really happy place, so glad I made the decision, man.
Whereabouts in the city were you living before you decided to make this move?
In Melbourne, it was kind of like the inner east, so like Richmond, St Kilda, Port Melbourne, that kind of region. That was in Melbourne, and when I was in Queensland, I was on the sunny coast, which isn't really city life, but still a bit of hustle bustle up there. It's a lovely place, but getting out, getting away. I've done a bit of work in Byron Bay, and when I got the phone call to come over here, it was a no-brainer. Yeah. It's been
and
awesome.
so what does your work look like over here? What are you working on?
I'm working on a lithium plant, which is essentially the same as a mine. It's the same kind of industry, working on a mine or the plant itself. We're just kind of extending the structure there so that the plant can process more lithium, essentially. So we're building more, they call them trains, so we're building more like trains so they can process more soil and produce more lithium. However, I got here 3 months ago, and about 3 weeks ago the lithium price crashed, because I think all the electric cars are going hydrogen now. So the stock price crashed and they've started to close that job up, and then that's opened me to exploring, heading back to the East Coast, yeah.
Yeah, so you're heading back to go and making your way through Byron. So
Yeah, I'm heading to Byron, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to head back to the old job I was on there, and I'm going to do a nice 4 to 5 week trip back. So just do it at my own time.
Are there any sites you're like, I've just got to see again?
100%, bro. Highly recommend the Flinders Ranges.
Yeah.
If you get a chance to spend a few days there and just kind of immerse yourself into that part of the world, it's very, very isolated. It's beautiful at the same time. I'm going to do the Eyre Peninsula. I love the beaches down there. Maybe the Bunda Cliffs. Might spend a couple of days there. We spoke about that yesterday. Bro, it's the world's my oyster, man. I can take as long as I want.
Literally can do anything. Yeah. So let's touch base back to when you first decided, okay, this is a way of life I could live. You're working as a carpenter in Melbourne, you started taking weekend trips, and then how did it evolve from there?
Strip it right back, man. I did a bike ride, excuse me, did a bike ride in the end of 2019, beginning of 2020 when those bushfires were happening.
Yeah.
I rode my bicycle from Melbourne to Queensland. I planned a trip, a challenge. Took me 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah, it was a real...
From Melbourne to Queensland?
Yeah, man, it was a real eye-opener, but I think that fed into my being on the road, taste of being on the road. Because I just enjoyed the simplicity of my days, which was just ride to a town, set up camp, get in the pool because it was always over 40 degrees. It was ridiculous. And I just had this real simple lifestyle, which was a complete different lifestyle to the city life.
Yeah.
And maybe that just fed into it because when I came back from Queensland, I flew back to Melbourne, and then when I got back into work that year, I realised I wanted to move to Queensland, and then that really fueled the van life further, yeah.
So the bike ride, how many Ks were you riding a day? And how long is that trip?
Oh, there was no real structure to it. The goal was to get to a main town that had a swimming pool because, mate, it was hot.
Yeah.
I did a documentary and put it on YouTube about it, like a little, I filmed everything and got a mate of mine, and he put it together for me, and he did a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah, so probably took me 22 days. I had a few days where I had sandstorms where I couldn't do anything. But yeah, probably 150K a day.
Did you have a little tent hooked up to the back?
Yeah, no, I had a tent that packed away, and I put it on my front handle. I had all these packs.
Yeah. We are talking about a pushback, right?
Pushback.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, no, so I set up a little tent. Sometimes I'd free camp in the middle of nowhere because I didn't plan it that well. Come here, please. Can we lie down, please?
What inspired that journey? What day were you like, okay, I'm just going to go out and do this?
There was always, I think on YouTube I come across bike packing or bike touring.
Yeah.
And it was like an intriguing thing, like it was a different way of exploring the land, I guess. And it was, because what I found was when you drive through, you don't take it all in. But when you ride through it 20 kilometres an hour, you take everything in. And it's a bit more, I just got a bit more satisfaction out of that, man. It was mainly the challenge side of it. I remember specifically my leading hand at my job. When I said I was planning it to a couple of mates, they all laughed at me, and then he said, not a chance, in front of everyone. So I thought, you know what, mate? I'm going to do it. And that kind of drove me to, I already had the idea in my head and I was planning it, but that really knuckled it down. And when he said the words, to Queensland, not a chance, when I crossed the Queensland border, it was in Gundawindi. It was hot as shit, and I remember pulling over at the roundabout, and I took this photo and I sent it straight to him, and I said, and he had no idea I was doing it. This is weeks later. I said, mate, you told me not a chance. I'd done it. And he was just nothing but praise, I didn't want the praise.
Yeah.
But I loved the fact that that brought out that kind of competitive side of me where I was like, no, I can do this.
Sometimes you need those people who are against you to actually motivate you to do it.
Yeah,
do you think
man.
if it wasn't for him, you might not have done it?
No, I think I would have, but I think that was like the real driver to not give in. There were times where I wanted to quit because it was so hot. It was unbearable, man.
I believe it.
But like I didn't have a day where the max was under 40, not a single day, and I had to finish the ride for that day by like 1 or 2 p.m. Otherwise, heat stroke.
Were you having to start pretty early? Like,
Yep, 5 a.m. But that became a routine, so it wasn't hard, you know. But yeah, the physical side wasn't the hardest. It was the mental side.
yeah, because
mental
you had
side was-
gone from, working 5 days a week
Yeah.
to this big adventure. And we're
Yeah.
talking before about the fine line between freedom and loneliness. Was that
Yeah.
quite a lot to adapt to?
It's another story altogether, that one. That was a shock, not as much as what we were speaking about with the loneliness with van life. It was a shock in terms of just like the physical side. I'd never rode a bike, that far before, and like to do that every day was nuts, carrying all that weight and that heat. But the mental side was just the heat, the exhaustion, and knowing I had to get up and go again every day. I don't know what the main driver was, just I planned it and I didn't want to quit on myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The biggest shock was just knowing every day I had to get up and ride that bike. That was a shock. The loneliness and the freedom, bro, that was only 3 weeks, but being on the road full time, it's a whole new level.
Yeah, what sort of routine do you follow to keep your mind occupied? And
Well, it's pretty easy when I'm working.
yeah,
I've got a purpose. It's a 2 or 3 months a year when I'm just traveling. That can get hard. It can get hard because there's no one around, and no one, like even today, it's a Monday, there's really no one around. It's just you and me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People are driving, going about their day, whether it's between work or, visiting people, heading to the, Bunnings or whatever, do things for their home. Here, you and I, we've got no responsibility. We've got all this time on our hands, and that can feel like it can feel like we're in our own prison sometimes, like we're in our own heads, the loneliness creeps up, and then we think the easy option is to head back home and hang out with friends and the norm. But what I found, man, was for me, I get past a certain point, and it was like a whole lot of battling, like I battled internally with loneliness for a long time, and then I realised it was freedom. And then I realised it was loneliness. It was just like, it was this pendulum, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Fine line, man. Perspective. If you wake up in a negative mindset, it's loneliness.
So would you still, so it's a constant struggle still?
Still today, I'm 3 years
Yeah.
deep, man. Still today I battle. Not as much. I think now I'm more at peace with it, and I'm also used to it.
Yeah.
I find when I go and socialise with people, less is more. You know what I mean? Like after a while, I just want to go home and just chill out on my own.
I've found the same thing, because I used to be like, I love being around people.
Yeah.
I'm very extroverted. And then this has almost been such a blessing because I've learnt to be by myself.
Yeah.
And then now when I hang out with people, it means so much more. But I also value my time alone a lot more now.
Musician, man. You're extroverted.
Yeah.
Social. It's a social culture, isn't it?
Yeah.
Music. But then you probably find you'd write some of your best stuff on your own.
Yeah, it is the problem I find is you're in car parks like this, and a lot of the time there's people walking around, so it's hard to at home you can lock yourself in your room and just write for ages.
Yep.
Here it's like you're always exposed to everyone else.
When you're in a town, yeah, 100%.
Which makes it difficult, but I've resorted to a lot of journaling.
Yep.
And trying to write poetry and stuff. Do you journal yourself?
You're much more disciplined than me. I've got a journal.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have as many pages filled out as yours.
I mean, that's my New Year's resolution, because I got one last year because my brother got one, and he reckons it revolutionised his life.
Yeah, okay.
And I read this quote, I don't quite remember it, by Pythagoras, who talked about a journal being like a song to God at the end of the day, to look at what you've done and how you can improve on it every day.
Yeah.
And I thought, whoa, that's pretty important. And if you have that, you're accountable and you can see how much you've progressed.
Yeah.
So
So
something
it's
that's
like that
happening.
self-improvement that's right in front of you, but not being shy to like open up and spill out what you normally wouldn't be comfortable talking to someone
Yeah,
about.
it's awesome.
So it's very,
So do you have something like journaling that helps you through stuff?
not really. A lot of it's internal, and I reckon this is where I've gone wrong. I should probably do this because then bad habits creep in. Social media, I scroll.
I'm the same. It's hard.
You know what I mean? Watching sport, I'll chuck the PlayStation on. Lucy, come here. Lucy, come here. Lie down. Sorry, people just rocked up and no. There we go. No. Yeah, so like I get bad habits that creep in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe that's a learning I can take from you, man, is I should get into journaling and take it more seriously. You know what I mean?
It's certainly a strange thing having such, I suppose, easy, accessible dopamine when you like turn on your phone and instead of having to work for it,
Yeah,
like going
man.
for a run or
That's it.
writing, it's right there. And like I got Disney Plus the other week because I was like, oh, I just want to relax and at the end of the day and watch some shows.
You gave in.
And then it's like, oh my goodness, I just watched like 4 episodes of this mind-numbingly
Yeah.
bad show and it's just wasted so much time.
Hey, fine line,
It's a fine line,
isn't it?
Exactly.
It's just that similar kind of, it's that similar balance, isn't it? I should take a leaf, no pun intended, a leaf out of your book and do the same. And you know, sometimes it is good to just do some mind-numbing, like zone out.
I think it's important.
Yeah, just knowing when to be disciplined and cut it out. I'm bad at that.
Yeah.
How many times, mate, do you scroll through YouTube, you know, you're looking at, it might be a tutorial, you want to learn something, and then 1 a.m. you're looking at boy plays Giroud Sandstorm with a pen, and you're just like, what am I doing? You're in a hole, you know, YouTube hole.
It's a video of a dude drinking water with a fork.
Yeah, bro.
And
like,
that's how I knew I'd gone down.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, this is a problem.
it is a problem.
So, all right, so you finish this ride, and then you go back to working 5 days a week, or is this when you go, okay, I can buy a van and travel?
Yes, no. So I went back to, you know, I was on a union job in the city, 6 days a week actually. So I went back into that, and then I moved up to Queensland with my girlfriend at the time.
Wait, did you have the van then?
No, so I bought the van in Queensland, and I bought that post breakup. So I told her that I was with the COVID. The COVID thing was a funny time.
Yeah.
All the her parents were yelling at us to buy another place, and I was like, not sure I want to do that. Like I was worried about the economy.
Yeah.
And things crashing. It was all the rumours, and I was pretty content. Like I didn't want to be buying, you know, making money wasn't a driver. I wanted to buy for the right reasons. And I felt like I just wanted to travel. Like I'd created, you know, this bug had started. So I did that. I moved to Queensland with her about 6 months after that bike ride. And about a year later, we split up. Then I brought the van and I spent every day after work doing the van up. And then I ended up putting in my notice for my lease. As I was nearing completion of the van, I just hit the road and chipped away at it. Nothing's finished.
Yeah.
But it
looks pretty finished.
No, it's not. There's so many quirks to it. But like people like will say, oh, I want to do the van life and it's got to be perfect and amazing. But I love that van in terms of its like quirkiness, and there's some unfinished things, and then there's some, you know, corners I've cut here and there. It just suits, you know. Yeah. It's insulated. I've got power. It's watertight. You know, I've got heating.
You got a PlayStation,
mate. I've got everything I need in there, and it suits me fine. Lie down, please, babe. Good girl. Yeah.
That's such a great story in terms of like finding what you really enjoy and going after it.
Yeah, man.
Is there ever a day where you go, boy, I wish I was working 9 to 5 every day?
Well, I do work 9 to 5,
yeah.
Don't I? Is there ever a day when I want to go back to the norm is probably what you mean,
yeah.
right? No, I don't. I refuse to.
Yeah.
I felt like I was like, I don't know, my mind was out. I get a lot of people say, oh, I'd love to do that. I'd love to do that. And I'm like, I'm thinking, oh, what? The only reason you couldn't is because you couldn't handle the mental side of the loneliness and the adjustment, because it is a bit rough around the edges.
Yeah.
I mean, when you got to go toilet, things like that. Like I've got a composting toilet there that I use on emergencies. But you know what I mean? Like there's just times where, you know, you've either got to have, you know your cycle, or sometimes you're in the middle of nowhere, you pull on the side of the road and you do your thing. You know what I mean? It is what it is, man.
Yeah.
But like, if you can get around those things, I think it's the best decision I made. Like, personally, like I've never been happier.
And you choose to like film a lot of this. You got a lot of nice camera gear that you do it with. What motivated you to share this experience through film and cinematography, I suppose?
Well, it was always a hobby, yeah. It was always a hobby. I liked the GoPro and the drone for my bike ride, and then it evolved. And some good friends of mine, Carly and Dan, they're on the sunny coast. They got me into the camera side of things more seriously and gave me a lot of and they're so knowledgeable. Like they're really, you know, they'd even pick apart the way I set up you know, if I set up the camera or I do something wrong, they'll tell me, but it's like, it's positive. It's like, it might come across as negative, but it's teaching me good habits. It just evolved, man, become a hobby. And I just enjoy, and the investing in the camera, like I invest in it because I've got the surplus of money, the lifestyle allows for that. So, you know, I work hard for what I earn, and, you know, I'm able to enjoy the things I love.
And filming's a big thing.
Oh, mate, landscape, yeah. Like if I see a sunset, I want a video, you know what I mean? It's almost a curse. Sometimes it's like, just put the camera away and enjoy what you're watching. So, yeah.
In short films, I've noticed you're wanting to make some short films, and you made some.
I've like 80% completed, but I haven't ever completed them.
Yeah.
Because the more I watch them, then I go, oh, I don't like that anymore. I want to do this idea. So I've got like 4 or 5 on my laptop now, which I should just complete. So I'm learning, you know what I mean? Someone told me the other day, finish it, even if you don't like it. Just do it, put it out there. So I did a vlog the other day and I put it out there. I don't get any views. It is what it is. But like I enjoy the process of becoming a filmmaker, I guess.
Yeah.
And the goal would be to be a cinematographer. But that's like another level.
I think it's just one of those things you keep working on slowly. It's
man.
climbing. It's cool that you got that creative outlet on the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, it's music. For you, it's photography.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps you busy. And, you know, you spend time editing, which takes, I'm guessing, a ridiculous long time. I was talking to a photographer yesterday, and she was like, it takes up. If I could just take the photos, it would be amazing.
Oh, mate.
But then I have to spend all this time editing.
Immensely. There's workflow learnings. So there's the actual like setting up a camera and doing the camera work, always learning. Editing, I'm like well behind, but I'm always learning. So it's a never-ending cycle, man. I love it.
Could you have ever imagined you being where you are right now when you were like my age sort of thing? Like filming these videos, living on the road.
I thought I was your age, brother. I'm twice your age, aren't I?
I suppose, yeah.
I'm actually more than twice your age.
Yeah.
Wow. Isn't that buzzy? What was the question?
Was this ever a goal of yours when you were younger? Or is it something that sort of became a goal as you grew older?
Good question. So right now I'm sitting there, do I be honest and just open up, or do I just give you the generic answer? I'm going to open up here, man. It was never a goal, but I actually looked into this. When I was younger, I always had this runaway mentality. I didn't have a normal upbringing.
Yeah.
My upbringing was not the nicest. I was kind of adopted. I was in a family that made sure to tell me every day that I wasn't theirs and didn't belong. And it was a head duck.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a great upbringing. I always had in my mind I wanted to run away when I'm older. I want to run away. And come to the realisation that this lifestyle is kind of living that out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But not as a direct, not in a like, I'm not running away from anything. But I feel like maybe that's why I'm content, because I'm doing what I always dreamt of doing when I was little. And I'm talking 7, 6, 7, 8 years old. I always wanted to run away.
Yeah.
So without diving into, my upbringing, because I don't have family. My mum died when I was 14, and so I had a very, and she left me when I was 2, came back when I was 12. Like it was a very different upbringing. But I always, and I was raised by some not nice people at one stage, and I always just remember saying I want to run away, and I always remember getting in a car and just driving away. It was always my thing, and I think this is living it out in a roundabout way subconsciously.
Yeah.
But I'm doing this because I want to.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing better than driving up the coast, parking up on a cliffside, and just cooking lunch and looking at the view, and just there's no one around. I mean, mate.
And doing it because you want to, and there's no one telling you. There's no boss.
Yeah.
You are your own boss. And
Man,
you get
that's
to
the
choose
freedom,
exactly
brother.
what you want to do.
That's that freedom we're talking about. It's pretty good, man. Yeah. It's hard to explain too. Like, people can see the Instagram and all these van lifers that love showing their, it's not all roses and I mean, some places we park and sleep at night. It's just not the most salubrious surroundings, are they?
Certainly, you're kind of like half up, half asleep. You hear a noise, and you're like, "Wait, where's..."
Yeah, man.
It must be nice having the dog with you.
Yeah, so that's another side of it too. You don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
She's a bit of a security blanket for me. Like, she'll let me know if someone's there, so I just sleep like a baby. I'm out. I've also got sound deadening, so I can't really hear anything. So if, you know what I mean? Like, the noises you hear generally will matter. I always play when I sleep. I don't know if you do this. I always play like an ambient music in the background.
Okay.
Works a treat, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, because after a while, like, you're pretty new in your journey. After a while, you get pretty content and comfortable. When you're in the middle of nowhere, you're safer than if you're in the town. If there's no one around, there's no one to hurt you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the other side, is the van itself should be like an escape as well. Like, I like shutting up when it's winter. I love shutting up and hibernating in there. I'll have music playing, I'm cooking dinner. I've got something playing on YouTube or an interview or something, and I forget that I'm like parked in the city. You know what I mean? There's the world going on around me, and I'm in there, and then I'll set the bed up and I'll hit the hay. No, and people, like, they might know I'm there or they might not. Leave no trace.
Yeah. I think that's the most important thing, because we get the luxury of staying in these incredible places, and to keep that luxury, it's like you've got to be so self-contained.
Yep.
You leave it how you found it.
Yep.
Have you
Yeah,
ever had
100%.
some dicey van life, nighttime sleeping?
I've had two where the heart was racing. One was, because my bed's right at the back door, someone tried to open the back door.
Yeah.
And I think they were bored. It was in Melbourne. And I was actually at my cousin Owen's. I call him my cousin. I've known him since he was this big, but, we just call each other cousins. We're not related at all. But I was there because I was too drunk to drive. So I just parked on it, like I stayed on the street.
Yeah.
Someone tried to open the door. I was like, my heart was racing because you're in the city, yeah. And I thought, oh no, and she's barking. And then I looked, and it was a guy in a hoodie, and he was just kind of being a bit dodgy around the passenger seat. Then the dog jumped up and he ran off. And my heart was racing. So I thought, was he going to come back? So I got in the van straight away. I just jumped through, started it up, followed him to let him know I'm not scared.
Yeah.
And then I ran the window down, and he was trying to hide, so I knew he was scared then. And I knew he was behind this tree hiding, and I just said, what, why, man? And all I could hear was this voice go, I'm sorry, man. So all good, and I wasn't, when I said I was too drunk to drive, I'd had a few, but I wasn't drunk then.
Yeah.
It was like hours later. So I went and drove somewhere else, parked up.
I feel like that's the best way to handle those situations.
Best result.
Is like when you come at it with confidence, because I feel like if someone's doing that, they can sense if you're like super taken aback from them.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I did that to show I'm not scared. Don't come back.
Yeah.
The other thing is I thought, it's hard being, imagine women, females that are doing it. Brave men. They're brave. I've got a lot of van life friends, and I say to them, I admire your bravery, it's not easy. Especially when, blokes see them get in the van on their own at night. It's like, it's sad that that's a major kind of negative thing for them with van life.
Yeah.
The second time was in the middle of nowhere, ironically, so there was no one around, but I was actually camping with some friends on the Bunda Cliffs.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, man. It was a doozy though. Like we'd pulled up, beautiful sunset, had a few seltzers, knew we were camping there. Incredible spot. Like if you ever get a chance to go to the Bunda Cliffs, people, you got to go. It's like the edge of the world. It's amazing. And we were just, I don't know, we're cooking dinner, and then his girlfriend said, "Oh, look, there's some motorbikes." And I looked up and there were these dirt bikes, but what concerned me was there's 3 people on each one. And I went, hold on, there's heaps of them. Who travels out here on dirt bikes hours from the nearest town in groups like that? So I realised they were local, like bush local. My mate had some binoculars. I said, "Mate, we've got to go." And I was like, yeah. And I put the girls in the back of my van so they could hide, just because, I don't want them knowing we had a female with us. And Matt grabbed his binoculars and he literally said, "We're being effed." He's English, with the accent. And I went, "Really?" So I got the knife and cut his awning. We packed up and just took off the other way. And our hearts were racing, man. They'd run back to their motorbike, so we thought they were chasing us. We just drove another hour and a half up the road to the WA border. We slept at the roadhouse there. They had to sleep on their roof.
Wait, why that's? Oh, because you cut the.
We left the tent there.
Oh.
Because when he looked in the binoculars, he said 2 of them had like a bat or a crowbar. They were dragging it. And they left the bikes behind. So yeah, it just wasn't right. It was a real bad situation. And then we went back in the morning to get the tent and stuff, and they'd moved all that gear, but like flipped it over, and it was still kind of there, but it had been moved, and they were coming for us.
It's good to say that that is a very one-off experience.
Yeah, I mean we've read and the locals were telling us at the roadhouse there's some stories.
Okay.
I think the local young fellas just got bored. They get bored and they're just curious and they want to come out and cause trouble, and it's just not worth engaging, So yeah, they're the only times, man, where I've had. Other than that, man, this country's a bruise.
Yeah.
Other than people just always telling you off.
So it's so good to be self-aware, I think. Whenever I see a spot that I go, I want to stay there, I very rarely will cook dinner in that spot.
Yes, sir.
I'll cook dinner somewhere else. And this has been something that I've learned, especially I was staying in Townsville for a while.
Yeah.
And I was definitely very careful when I was in Townsville.
Okay.
And I'd cook and then I'd drive later at night. I wouldn't even get out of my van. I'd just park, hop in the back and go to sleep.
Yeah.
And you learn to realise that no one really notices your van's there or cares that your van's there until the morning, then they might care.
Yeah, like when they're out walking their dog. Yeah. It's always the same age group.
Mm. Or you hear kids running around outside and you go, oh no.
Yeah, when you pick the wrong moment.
But it's just go to sleep, your doors are locked.
Yeah.
You're probably going to be fine.
That's part of the adventure, man.
Yeah.
Is learning to read the play. Where's good to park. I've had some shockers where I've woken up and I had no cars on the street near me, and then next in the morning it was packed and it was a market. I was parked here and the market stalls are here. I was like, oh, you idiot.
But that's almost...
Put a hoodie on. It's embarrassing.
At least there's heaps of people around. Half of them probably don't even know you. I've stayed in a Woolworths parking once. I remember I got out in the morning. I looked around me. It's just car parks, people everywhere walking around. I get out of my car, hop in the front seat and just drive away. And I had this old lady just looking at me going did he?
Yeah.
I'm like, yep.
Yeah, they do that, eh?
But it's certainly, I reckon, occasionally I stay in a Bunnings car park.
Yep.
Because it's nice, and then As long as you're up. I play a fun little game with the Rangers I call hide and go sleep.
I can't do that because of the dog.
Yeah, that's true. So I think we're coming to a good conclusion on this podcast, and I like to finish it with, well, one question. So it's called the Forgotten Gold podcast for two reasons, because I've got a song coming out called Forgotten Gold.
Awesome.
And this song is about touching on the, I suppose, forgotten gold people in society. People you walk past every day and you don't say hi to. And so the final question is, what does the word forgotten gold mean to you?
When you put it like that, yeah, I can resonate with that. Yeah, because you do, like, a lot of people don't have interaction with many people, you know, like, it's like the lost culture where it's hard to explain. Like a lot of blokes will get no notifications. You know what I mean? No one's messaging them.
Other than like Clash of Clans, your village.
Yeah, or something like that, right? Like it's always the top 2%. It's your Instagram, you know, your popular people. But a lot of the most genuine, authentic, and interesting interactions can be with people that are not those people. You know, sometimes those people are just there's a hidden agenda with friendships, and you know, people getting to know you and hanging out with you. Some of my most amazing on the road interactions are with normal people that you like you said, you'd walk past them 7 times out of 10, and they might have just stopped to say, "Oh, nice dog," or I might have just said, "Oh, up the road it's blocked," or something, and then you get in this, you know, and then you get talking to them, much like yourself. What does forgotten gold mean to me? I think exactly that, man. I think there's good everywhere you look. You just got to find it, man.
I think that sums it up perfectly.
Yeah, man.
Well, it was a privilege to sharing your story with me, and
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Cheers.
It's been a pleasure, and Lucy.
And Lucy.
She doesn't have much to say, but yeah.
What do you think about this, Lucy? Nice. I thought that.
Good life, eh, man?
Nice, wise words.
Here's to many more years on the road, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
That was awesome.